Everybody has a journey. We all have experience of being attached to how it should be. My story is very similar to all the stories. I got married very early, 21 years old. I got kid, 12 years of marriage ended up in divorce. And I wanted to blame him for every single thing, for every single mistake. I brought every single little moment, and I was justifying so many of my mistakes by turning focus on him and blaming my ex for everything. 5 years after divorce, a new relationship, I still was blaming him. I still wanted him desperately to call me and tell me that he's regretting, that he realized he lost the woman that he had, and all that stuff that is so not realistic. I was demanding, even though I didn't reach out, but I was playing that all is well and all is good. What happened when we are pretending it doesn't bother us? We move on. I have a new child already, new relationship. But at the end, deep down, I still was having conversations with my ex. On the back of my mind, daily, I had the conversations without realizing. I was going back and forth in that victim mentality to not face the truth that relationship built by two people, and two people contribute equally. One of them tolerate, another one is just there to serve. In some of the stories I invested, I needed to go through a lot of teachings, learnings, healing, because I was facing guilt. I was thinking I failed, completely failed, but I wanted to turn that guilt against and point at him and tell it that's because of him it failed. Because of him, I was not present with my two kids at that time. 5 years after, 7 years after, I was not available emotionally on a daily basis, and I'm overreacting. Why? What is the reason? Because I'm not available. I am in my mind replaying how it's supposed to be, right? And it's not one situation, many different situations that I was holding on to, desperately wanting to blame somebody else. We are staying in toxic relationship, we are staying in toxic communication when we cannot let go, because we are tolerating, cannot let go. When we are attached to something and we are can't, it bothers us. Even if I'm saying I let it go, now I act a little less. I pretend, I say it doesn't bother me. It does bother me because it's still with me. The bottom line, we are attached to results, to how it should be, to certain things that we are waiting from those people, actions, saying, right? I desperately wanted my husband to call me, my ex, and tell me, I am loser. Because of me, this is how it is. Because of me. I didn't want to face me. So many years of coaching and clearing and investing into healing and all that stuff, because I have developed fear of getting into a deep relationship again, committing to relationship again. So I was staying away because I had such a pain around what happened that I couldn't even accept the fact that it happened because of me too. Reality check, that 50% is on me. I claim it. I unhook myself. It led me to a life completely different terms, experiencing the relationship on a different level, on a deeper level, being open to a deeper relationship, not submitting to a narcissistic relationship, something that I was abused and I was tolerating because I wasn't feeling good, because I'm lying to myself. How am I going to feel good about myself if I'm constantly lying that it's not my fault? What are you tolerating? What are you attached to? What results are you attached to that you are still negotiating with yourself? Awareness is a first step into transformation, but it's just the first step, but it's a big one. What I want to welcome you into, look inward. What is it you're avoiding here to see? What behavior are you tolerating? Why are you tolerating that behavior? What outcome are you attached to? Because as long as you feel like there is something that they need to do, they need to take care of, they need to act appropriate, I am not letting myself to live a life, because my life is outside of me. My focus is somewhere over there. What it creates internal conversation that keeps you away from your maybe values, or maybe something that you really enjoy and loved in your life. Maybe you have a kids, maybe you have a relationship that you absent, or you keep complaining, bringing some complaints that are outside of your relationship, right? So first you want to ask, what am I tolerating? I have a belief that somebody needs to change, somebody needs to fix, somebody needs to take care of something, somebody needs to be quiet at sometimes, or behave, right? Sometimes we do that because at the end of the day, this is all about identity, how I am living, what I'm used to, what dynamic drives my reality. Am I experiencing reality for what it is, or I'm attached to how people should act or react or not act? Experiencing that guidance, unity with something bigger, feeling I'm in fulfillment and purpose on top of the world, and I have authority. People feel my energy. I'm not charging anything negative. I'm not charging myself from thinking that people owe me to act certain way or something else. I'm not getting upset. I'm not developing space, not keeping people away. I'm just open to who comes without trying to rewrite the story, right? Am I replaying things in my mind that keeps me away from reality? Am I overthinking certain things, certain events? Is a sign of me being stuck and not being able to let go. Yes, and you have it. You have it. And we all have it. It starts to shine the moment you just realize everybody else that are surround me, all the family that I'm surrounded by, are here for me. What are they showing me? Where am I resisting reality? Where am I emotionally charging myself? When we're experiencing life, it's normal that we experiencing life because we been born with so many different feelings and emotions. Aren't that beautiful to feel anger sometimes, as long as you can express it ecologically without blaming people? I feel sad, I feel upset, I feel angry, right? One of the steps that I do recommend is to reclaim your power. How? Not just by letting go. Let's just sit down and meditate, letting go. It doesn't work. Didn't work in my case. I went 5, 7 years from the divorce, still was blaming him, desperately wanted to call to hear that possible. It looks like taking energy from that event, from that moments that charging me all the time, taking me from that past into the present. No more. I don't need to be there. I don't. Why am I saying past? Why? Because current life that we're experiencing, we are charging ourselves in current life only because it touches us deeply and it hurts us, because somewhere in the past I experienced the same feeling, not understood, feeling not good enough, feeling small, my voice is not valued, my presence is not respected. It didn't happen just today. I experienced that feeling somewhere in the past, and what's happening now is just reinforcing that I'm still attached to the moment that hurt me the most, that moment in the past. Okay. So reclaiming energy, it means that I am capable to find what moment triggers those emotions and feelings in current life. How can I help myself to drag myself from that original source of event, of the feeling, and take myself out of it, back into reality, where I don't need to protect myself anymore? When in your life, for the first time, you experience that hurt and pain, that somebody so disrespected you, and it might be parents, I'm not gonna lie, it will come back there. So that is the source. That's the first event that triggered the dynamic to be developed. And from there, I am so focused on that pain that I am focused on protecting myself, promising it's not gonna happen. It will, and it reinforces over and over again. Why? I'm so focused on not to be in the situation when I'm not disrespected. Ended up all the time feeling I'm disrespected. How is it possible? My focus is on what hurts me the most. So I create my future from my past. We know all that, right? Okay, last step. What I truly want you to take from here is that my awareness around the triggers that trigger my feelings and attachments, where I am not capable of letting go things, is not enough. And that is true. I tolerate things. You knowing the fact, yes, there is a root cause of me feeling attached to a certain behavior, to a certain outcome, to stay away from people, to develop that space between me and those who trigger my dynamic. It's not enough. Awareness is not enough. The shift happened when I make decision to move on. Of course, meditation doesn't work. Healing does. And how painful to realize it's on me. I was attached to how it's supposed to be.
Right.
And how good it feels when you finally let it go. And how blessed we feel, right? That's a life shift. You agree?
Absolutely.
So if tonight made some sense, you can reach out. And I do suggest reach out. I open a couple spots to evaluate and see what your dynamic, where you stop. Maybe I'm not the cup of tea for you, but at least I can be supportive and sharing some of the tips, comments, give you some feedbacks on how and what. Don't withhold your life. Reach out, set up that call so I can support your journey. I want to thank you all for the time that you got of your life to join the call. I hope it was productive, and I will see you in our next call.